All right, let's dive right in. Something huge is happening in the world of online search. I mean, it's about to flip everything we thought we knew about SEO completely on its head. Seriously, just imagine for a second. What if all that web traffic you've worked so hard for just vanished overnight? It sounds like something out of a horror movie, right? But for a lot of businesses, this is actually starting to happen. So today, we're going to dig into exactly why this is happening, and more importantly, what you can do about it to not just survive, but actually come out on top. You know, for the longest time, the whole SEO game was pretty straightforward. Just get the click. Simple. Well, you can pretty much forget about that now. That whole era is over. The new name of the game isn't about getting people to your site anymore. It's about being visible inside the search results themselves. It's about becoming the actual answer. You know, the AI-powered summary that shows up before anyone even thinks about clicking.
Okay, so here's the plan. First, we'll talk about why the click is dead. Then, we'll get into this awesome concept called the invisible factory. After that, it's all about building your content moat, understanding that search is everywhere. And finally, we'll wrap up with a go-to-market blueprint you can actually use.
All right, first up, the click is dead. Seriously. The source material for this calls it the great decoupling, which is a perfect way to put it. It basically means that even if you're ranked #1 on Google, that doesn't guarantee you'll get any traffic at all. And why is that? Well, it all comes down to one massive change. And here it is, AI overviews, or AIOs. You've probably seen them. They're those AI-generated summaries right at the top of the search results. What they do is they pull info from all the top pages, kind of weave it all together into one neat answer and just give it to the user right then and there. Boom! The user gets what they need and they never, ever have to leave Google. The click just became unnecessary.
So, if clicks are out, what are we supposed to be tracking? It's a great question. We need a whole new set of KPIs. Things like share of answer, like what percentage of that AI summary came from your content. Then there's citation frequency. How many times does your brand actually get named as the source? And you could even combine these into something like an AI visibility index to get a big picture score. It's a totally new scorecard for a totally new game.
Okay, so we get the problem, right? Clicks are disappearing. So what's the solution? This is where things get really interesting. Let's talk about this concept called the invisible factory. The big idea here is to stop thinking about renting traffic and start thinking about owning the infrastructure that creates visibility in the first place.
So, what is this invisible factory? The best way to think about it is like your own private, independent operating system for your brand. It's not about just randomly pumping out blog posts or videos. No, it's about building an actual machine, a system that creates content and then pushes it out everywhere it needs to be, all to maximize your footprint online.
But how does it work in practice? It's actually a pretty smart 3-step process. First, you create one big, high-value anchor asset. Think like a huge research report or an ultimate guide. Then the factory, the system, breaks that big piece down into dozens of little, bite-sized hooks for every platform, tweets, short videos, graphics, you name it. And the last step? It automatically sends all those little pieces out to all the right channels. So you have one core idea that's now creating visibility in like 100 different places.
And this quote from the source really nails the shift in thinking. Renting traffic with ads, it's like being on a treadmill, right? The second you stop paying, you stop moving. The traffic's gone. But building your own infrastructure, your invisible factory, that's about creating a real, permanent asset, something that just keeps working for you, day in and day out. Okay, but let's be real. We're living in a world that's getting absolutely flooded with AI-generated content. Some people are calling it AI slop. So how on earth do you stand out? You need a defense. You've got to build what's called a content moat. And that's all about creating the kind of value that an AI just can't copy.
So what goes into a strong moat? It's basically everything that an AI can't fake. We're not talking about generic top 10 list articles. We're talking about your unique personal experiences, your stories of failure and success, your own private data and research. That genuine, first-person point of view is what everyone, both actual people and the search algorithms, is desperately looking for right now.
And look, this isn't just some fluffy theory. Google is proving it with their own updates. Have you heard of the Hidden Gems update? It's literally designed to find and promote content from places like Reddit and personal blogs. And why would they do that? Simple, because that's where the real answers from real people live. Authenticity isn't a buzzword anymore. It's a straight-up ranking factor.
This leads perfectly into our next big idea, which is that we have to totally rethink what search even means. It's not just about what you type into Google anymore. People are searching and discovering everywhere.
Think about it. Every single platform is now its own search engine, and people use them for totally different reasons. Someone on Pinterest might be slowly planning a home renovation. That's a long-term discovery. Meanwhile, someone on TikTok is looking for what's hot right now. It's a super fast visual search for trends. Your invisible factory has to be smart enough to make content that fits the vibe of each place.
Now get this. Here's a crazy number for you. 63%. That's the percentage of people who prefer to share stuff they find online through private messages, like WhatsApp or DMs. This is the stuff we can't track, the real word of mouth. It's what we call dark social.
And this is so important. If most of the real sharing and recommendations are happening behind the scenes, you've got to change your strategy. The goal becomes getting all that excitement into channels you actually own. Think about creating a private Slack or Discord community. That's how you capture that dark social energy and turn it into real direct relationships with people.
Okay, let's pull all of this together. It's time for our final section, your go-to-market blueprint. The good news is, in this new landscape, you don't need a massive budget to win. What you really need is to be quick on your feet and completely focused on owning your specific niche.
So the modern way to do this isn't to spend a year building some giant website and just praying people show up. Nope, it's all about launching with an MVP, a minimum viable product, a small focus test. Use it to figure out what people are really looking for, and then you can pour resources into scaling up your content factory.
And remember, there are really two main ways to win here. You can be an innovator, right, like Tesla, creating a whole new category that didn't exist before, or you can be a refiner. Think about Spotify or even Facebook. They didn't invent music streaming or social media, they just did it better than anyone else. Sometimes being the best to do it is way more powerful than being the first to do it. So, I guess I'll just leave you with this one final question to think about. In this new zero-click world we're all entering, is your business just a storefront? You know, sitting there, passively hoping customers wander in? Or is it a factory, an independent, automated machine that's actively pushing value out into the world? The choice you make here, well, it's pretty much going to define your future.